We just want to see what you do now. We don't care about your resume. We don't care about how good you did it then. You have been qualified for this moment, so we just want to see you do your thing. What's up? How you doing? Welcome back to A Moment of Clarity with yours truly, Aaron Thomason. I'm so excited that you're with me, but I want to know that you bring somebody with you. All right, let's kind of dive into this kind of thought. The thought I want us to go with is kind of some aspects polars. All right, so let's think through this. Proving versus performing. Let's think about that. And I say this because I come from a city, Detroit, Michigan, area code 313. Born and raised, love it. Detroit raised me. Love it, right? Don't care how much I went to church. We didn't go to church in a vacuum. It was the city that was coming with us that we knew that we need the redemption of Jesus Christ because the city was around us and it got into us as well, all right? But listen, when you talk about proving, I come from a city where you got to prove yourself. You know, sometimes you got to prove yourself to the bully that you ain't no chump. You know, you got to prove yourself to the girls on the block to let them know, hey, that you're not a lame, right? You got to prove yourself on the court if you're in a sport, on the field. Hey, that you good enough or that you belong, right? There's always a space where we from. If you was from the west side, you had to prove to the east side dudes that you wasn't soft. If you're from the suburbs, you had to prove that you deserve to be in the city. Like there was always something that you felt like you had to prove because you felt like somebody was going to get you. It kind of gives you a little bit of paranoia, right? And guess what? What happens when you're in that proving space, if it goes too long, it does make you paranoid. I'm going to tell you why it makes you paranoid. Because you take a temporary situation in which you actually had to learn, where you might need to be intentional about your work ethic and about your craft to get prepared for the moment when the spotlight comes on for you to perform. You take that piece with you over here, and now you're messing up the moment you've been working on. Because see, in that proven space, you kind of got to be on your guard. You kind of got to look over your shoulder. You kind of got to do a lot of those things because you haven't maybe established the credibility, right? You haven't created the relationships yet. So you kind of got to, kind of be on your P's and Q's a little bit because you can't settle. Nothing's settled in the proving space, right? But then there's a moment where you have to get to in performing where it has nothing to do with what you used to do. We just want to see what you do now. We don't care about your resume. We don't care about how good you did it then. You have been qualified for this moment, so we just want to see you do your thing. But you're so frustrated, you're so paranoid, or maybe so traumatized of the moments and the cycle and the phase of proving that you just can't show up and be you and perform. But when you look at the people who are the best at performing, they're not trying to prove nothing to nobody. They know who they are. And in some aspects, for those of us that might still be struggling with, let me prove myself, you hate the fact that people who just perform are so settled, they're so confident, because then you call them arrogant. Oh, who do they think they are? But what they understand is that they put the time in the proving space, is that God created these moments for them, maybe in the dark, that when the lights came on, it's now time for them to perform, and they know they deserve to be there. They're qualified. But many of us can't see internally that we're qualified to be in the moment that we're in, so we're still constantly trying to do what? Prove ourselves. But I'm going to tell you something. People feel it when you're trying to prove yourself because as a lot of us say, they doing too much. Ladies, when you're talking to a guy, you're like, he's cute, got good conversation, but something don't feel right because he's trying too hard. He's what? Doing too much. That's what happens when you're in the proving space. But then you got that other gentleman that he just show up, he talk real nice to you and you like the conversation and, he's doing this and he just kind of settled in and it makes you feel comfortable because he ain't trying to prove nothing to you. He's just in the moment. He knows who he is. He's comfortable about that space and he's just performing. Now, this ain't a marriage thing, but I want to show the contrast of the feeling of what it's like to be around somebody who's trying too hard versus somebody who's settled and comfortable. And many of us need to to deal with the trauma, deal with the paranoia, deal with the stuff that happened over here in the proving ground, to understand that that prepared you for the performing platform. Go ahead. You've earned this moment in the spotlight. You've earned this moment on stage. You've done all the things that you need to do. Stop worrying about the bullies and the people of your past and stay right here and be worried about doing the best that you can, because now here's your moment. No matter how you got here, no matter how the job happened, no matter who you had to network with, no matter who your friend was, your uncle was, whatever, there was a qualification in your life that allowed for you to show up in the moment that you're at currently right now in your life. And I'm going to encourage you to settle in and just go perform. Settle in and just go be great. Settle in and just go be you, right? Because you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are the works of his hands. Like, you are uniquely designed for this moment. You ain't got to prove nothing to nobody. Because guess what? If you had to prove everything to them, they would have been the ones to qualify you for the moment, but they didn't. And you know they such haters, they wouldn't let you be in front of them in the first place. So why are you trying to prove to them? They're already mad enough that you showed up. They mad enough that they couldn't crush you. They mad enough that you didn't quit. So now that since you got the performing platform, just sit back, relax, and go do what you do. Do what you do well. Because you learned that in the dark. You learned that being a little paranoid. You learn that by being intentional about your craft and developing. So now that you've earned that opportunity, maybe it's the degree, maybe it's the clients, maybe it's the business. Now that you've earned this moment over here in this proving ground, settle in and let's go to work. Settle in and let's go to work. This is your time. This is your moment, because you don't have to prove anything else to anybody, because you're qualified for this moment, this time. And because of that, the best thing you can do is settle in. Settle in and perform. Because when you perform with that level of confidence, that level of comfortability, what happens is that people become inspired. People start asking questions. How did you get there? How did you do it? And they want to figure out how to do the same thing to make that journey over from proving with the chip on their shoulder to be settled and comfortable. And there's a few of you all right now that you're close to moving from one side to the other, but you gotta let the trauma go. You gotta let the paranoia go. And maybe that's going into counseling. Maybe that's talking to somebody. I'm not talking about venting, because all venting does is just let you get it out. But maybe you talk to somebody where you can have tools to allow for you, the moment of proving is over, and now you're on a stage that you've earned. So go perform, go be great, go inspire. Maybe that's it. And so as you're trying to figure those pieces out, just understand the difference between the two is, one, you're uncomfortable. The other one, you're settled and you're comfortable. And when you're comfortable in performing, it inspires. It creates other people that want to do it. And it allows for other people to follow your lead, because you're showing them that it is possible to come out of the mud of proving, to get in the space of being able to perform. And guess what? You ain't got to prove nothing to nobody. Because if you had to prove it to them, they would have never allowed for you to show up. And they mad anyway. All right, well, listen. I appreciate you for stopping by one more time to hear the moment of clarity with yours truly, Aaron Thomason. Do me a favor. Don't be selfish. Tell somebody. But here's the other thing to do. Turn your notifications on. Like it. Share it. Put in the comments. Are you still in proving ground with that chip on your shoulder? Or have you moved over to performing, where you can go from better to best, good to great, and settle, be comfortable, and inspired? I just want to know which one we're doing. And so as we're transitioning between those two spaces, and I think more of us are ready to perform and to settle, I just want to hear about it.